11 greatest point guards in NBA history. From a few guys still in the prime of their careers to one of the greatest pound-for-pound players to ever lace up his sneakers, here's our list of the greatest point guards in the history of the NBA. Number 11, Bob Cousy. Haters will say he couldn't even dribble effectively with his left hand, so he shouldn't be on an all-time point guard list. Good point, but he still managed to have an incredible career despite shortcomings that may make him seem inferior in comparison to today's players. He, along with his Boston Celtics, dominated basketball in the 50s and 60s. Cousy would lead the league in assists 8 years in a row while introducing a blend of passing and ball handling skills that was unique in its time. For being a trendsetter and an all-time great winner, Cousy has managed to crack this all-time point guard list. He retired at the age of 34, but would make a brief comeback in the 1969-70 season with the Cincinnati Royals while also serving as their coach. Number 10, Steph Curry. Sure, he's only around halfway through his career, but the fact that Steph has changed the geometry of the game puts him already as one of the game's greatest point guards. With his incredible accuracy from way behind the three-point line, Curry forces defenses to stretch farther out than they ever had to before. If they choose to leave him alone, he can drain a 30-footer with consistency. If they throw guys at him as he steps across the half-court line, he's perfectly willing to toss it to his more than capable teammates, creating wide-open opportunities. Despite his 6'3" frame, which is short by NBA standards, he finishes at the rim with the best of them, making him a nearly unstoppable triple threat. He has already set the single-season three-point record several times, and if he continues his pace, he will easily surpass Ray Allen for the career three-pointers mark. Number 9, Russell Westbrook. He has a competitive streak like Allen Iverson and the skills of an extraterrestrial. His combination of athleticism and playmaking ability is perhaps unequaled in the annals of NBA history. He is Russell Westbrook, one of the game's best players and an all-time great point guard. Westbrook just finished a year where he averaged a triple-double, a feat only accomplished by the Big O, and one that many people thought they would never see in their lifetime. Russ isn't your typical point guard. He shoots a lot, but that's exactly the position he's played his entire career. Fans love his passion, and he clearly brings it every time he steps on the court. Number 8, Chris Paul. CP3 has been the best pure point guard in the league for the last decade. Emphasis on pure, which in our minds eliminates the likes of Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry, who are scoring guards. What he lacks in stature, he more than makes up for in basketball skills and IQ. He has a great shooting stroke along with being one of the best dribblers and passers in the game. He also has a nose for the ball and is regularly amongst the league leaders in steals. His lack of playoff success is a glaring weakness. The only two Western Conference teams to not make the conference finals since 2000 are the Pelicans and the Clippers, the two teams Paul has spent his entire career playing for. For a man who has a high amount of basketball acumen, he seems to make some really boneheaded plays in the most important of playoff moments. Another early playoff exit this year, along with rumors of a move to San Antonio, make Paul's future in the NBA uncertain. Number 7, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd made a mark in his very first year. He led his Dallas Mavericks, who a year before had been 13-69, to a respectable 36-46 record. It would be the start to a career full of making his teams and teammates markedly better players. While he was never a knockdown shooter, his ability to make otherworldly passes and relentless effort on the glass made him a consistent triple-double threat. Along with Vince Carter and Richard Jefferson, Kidd would lead the New Jersey Nets to 2 finals appearances, losing both times. Finally, towards the end of his career in 2011, he got that ever-elusive NBA championship with the Dallas Mavericks, putting a cap to a stellar basketball career. Number 6, Steve Nash. Nash captivated the NBA and was in many ways its most dominant player for a short stretch of time. He was the engine to the incredibly high-powered Suns and ran their 7 seconds or less offense to perfection. He managed to win 2 consecutive MVP awards, despite having stellar competition in players like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and former teammate Dirk Nowitzki. He had an incredible career with the Suns and the Mavericks before going to the Lakers, where he didn't do much before finally retiring. Number 5, Isaiah Thomas. Part of the last team that successfully challenged Michael Jordan's Bulls, Isaiah Thomas was the gritty point guard that fit in perfectly with the Detroit Pistons. But don't let his tough nature fool you or make you forget. Thomas had all the skills necessary to be a great point guard. He was quick, had great handles, was a willing and excellent passer, and could shoot with the best of them. He would lead the Pistons to 2 championships in a row, collecting a Finals MVP in the process. Number 4, Gary Payton. His The Glove moniker points to what made Gary Payton so good, his world-class defense. He shares an NBA record with 9 NBA All-Defensive First-Team selections that is also held by fellow greats Michael Jordan, Kevin Garnett, and Kobe Bryant. Though he struggled in his first 2 years in the league with the Seattle Supersonics, he would get things together, and with forward Shawn Kemp formed one of the most thrilling duos the league has ever seen. He led his Sonics to great success, winning 64 games and reaching the finals in 1996, before being eliminated in the finals by the Chicago Bulls in 6 games. The later part of his career was spent ring chasing. He went to the powerhouse Lakers, who would lose in the finals against the Detroit Pistons. Finally, he got the hardware he so coveted with the Miami Heat in 2006. Number 3, Allen Iverson. At 6 feet tall, Allen Iverson may be, pound for pound, the best NBA player of all time. Despite being in a league full of star players that were usually a half foot taller than him, at least, Allen Iverson stood out. He played with an abundance of passion and heart that has become legendary. Sure, he didn't have an affinity for practice, but he definitely showed up come game time. He dragged his Philadelphia 76ers to the NBA Finals in 2001, only to lose to the powerhouse Lakers. Despite this, he created an iconic memory by winning Game 1 of the series with an incredible performance. He drilled a game-sealing jumper before stepping over Lakers guard Tyronn Lue in the closing minutes. Number 2. John Stockton. Without John Stockton, there's no way Karl Malone would be held in as high regard as he is today. He also probably wouldn't be second on the all-time scoring list, a feat that is still hard to believe, but we digress. Stockton's consistency can be compared to a basketball version of Hank Aaron, and because of this, he holds the NBA record for both career assists and steals by a wide margin. The one thing missing from his career profile is a championship, though he would lead the Jazz to 2 finals appearances in the late 90s. Number 1. Magic Johnson. Magic ran the Showtime Lakers of the 80s with an incredible amount of skill and showmanship. He was a freak of nature in his era, a 6'9" guy who could handle the rock like it was on a string and make 60-foot cross-court bounce passes look effortless. His unselfish, flashy style of play propelled his Lakers to 5 championships in the 80s as well as 3 MVP awards. His career average of 11.2 assists per game is tops all time. Though his career would come to an abrupt end following his shocking HIV announcement, he had already cemented his legacy as one of the game's greatest and most memorable players.